On a recent episode of the Wayspotters podcast, my dad said this on purpose.
Well, the other thing I thought of, what if people go and try to change my descriptions, like my funny descriptions? Like, leave it alone. I wish I got notified, like, some of the little funny things I put in there. Like, someone's probably going to go, oh, we're just going to change this to church. No. Somewhere in the world right now, a nomination is being submitted. A review is being decided. And the map? Well, the map is being changed. Hello, agents, trainers, pilots, and our beloved explorers and wayfinders. Welcome to episode number 230 of the Wayspotters podcast. Here at Wayspotters, we want to do everything we can to help you become a better wayfinder. As we've always said, we want to educate, entertain, and excite. Wayspotters is brought to you by the good people at the Pokemon Professor Network, and today is Friday, June 19th, 2026. I am Blame Jamal, and I'm here with my good friend Chris. Chris, what's going on, my guy?
What's up?
How's your
it's
week?
Friday. It was good.
Yeah, it is Friday. Yeah.
I said to my wife today, I'm hungry. And she's like, go eat. And I'm like, I can't. I have like 6 meetings back to back from like 9 a.m. till 1:30. Just conference call after conference call after conference call after conference call.
Yeah. And you're like, no, I want to eat.
I'm stuck at my desk for the next 6 hours, which is terrible. So how are you doing, man? How was your week?
It was good, man. Had the birthday on Wednesday or on Thursday, and yesterday was my birthday. It was good. Hung out with the family. We had a little cookout, and Sunday is, by the time you guys are listening to this, it's Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to you, sir.
Happy Father's Day to you as well, and to all of our listeners out there who are fathers. Happy Father's Day to you.
Yes. The one thing about this podcast that I am thankful for is that we are not like recent news driven like some of the other Pokemon Go podcasts, who the big thing about their podcast is going over news and notes. We would drown if we had to rely on Niantic to put out news for us, because speaking of that, Chris, let's go to the news.
And now, the latest Niantic spatial and Scopely news from the Wayspotters podcast, presented by the Pokemon Professor Network.
I don't have any.
All right, there it is.
Not a whole lot going on right now. So
yep. There's no new news. That's why Chris and I come up with topics to keep you guys entertained every week. We try to find something that is topical. Oh wow, that was topical. Okay. We try to find things that are topical of what's going on in the world of Wayfarer right now, but we also try to make sure that it is evergreen enough that if someone listens to this 6 months down the road, it'll make sense, unless something fundamentally changes. But until something fundamentally changes, you could listen to this episode whenever and it'll make sense. So with that, Chris, should we jump into topic number 1?
Yeah, I think we should.
All right, let's jump right into topic number 1.
The news is over. The drama's
Okay.
begun. Everybody buckle up. It's topic number 1.
So topic number 1 is something that I want to call who gets to decide what's interesting. And the question, Chris, that I want to pose to you is, should Wayfarer reviewers judge nominations based on what they personally find interesting, or should they consider what might be more important to a local community? So if you guys saw the thumbnail for the show, it's where did this POI hurt you? Show me on the doll where this POI hurt you. And I want to have a little discussion about this, because this has come up in our Discord and this has come up on the forum, and people complain a lot about, well, this stupid electrical box wrapped with dinosaurs on it is in the same cell as the statue, and this is way more interesting. And I'm like, well, what about the person who nominated the electrical box with the dinosaur on it? They thought it was interesting enough to nominate it. So that's my initial question. Should Wayfarer reviewers judge nominations based on what they personally And if you guys could read the notes, I would just bold personally find interesting, or should I consider what might be important to a local community. So before we jump into it, Chris, this came up because I have been walking on the greenways at work during lunch because I'm trying to, stay in shape, get down to my fighting weight at some point if that's possible. And there's a lot of memorial benches on the greenway, and some of them are in the game and some of them are not. And I know if you go on the forums, there's a huge debate about memorial benches, and people are like, well, your grandma wasn't notable. And I found one where the grandma happened to be the sponsor of that 2 mile stretch of greenway. She was a huge advocate for clean energy, blah, 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 worked with the city council. And I'm like, oh, this grandma's actually interesting. As opposed to, in memory of Bob, who loved this park. So there's two sides to this, Chris. And we didn't talk about this beforehand. And I want to know, do you want to take side A and start there, or do you want to take side B?
Ooh, let me look. I think let's go to side A first, because I think I have more to say about that. Because I think, yeah, go ahead.
All right. So side A, the quality matters argument. So here's the argument. Not every memorial bench is special. A map full of random plaques and memorials can dilute the quality of wayspots. Most travelers aren't seeking out memorial benches. Some memorials exist simply because somebody paid for a plaque. Low quality wayspots can occupy a space that might later be used by something more significant. All right, go.
Okay, so let's start with memorial benches, because I think we did a whole show on memorial benches at one point in the past, and I think I uttered the words, "I'll be the one to say it, your Mima wasn't notable." And I got some feedback on that one, and
Yep,
I stand by it. I stand by saying that. And I've had discussions with some folks about memorial benches, and Niantic has come out and said, like, it has to be a notable person. They have to be noteworthy in your community or have done something noteworthy, right? Like if you put a memorial bench for an author that's had best-selling books, sure, that's notable, right? They might not necessarily be from your community. I don't know why you would put a memorial bench for an author that's not from your community, but that's besides the point. But it's on the person who submits it to sell it.
Yes.
Right. And that's like that's with anything that can be borderline, because there's a lot of things in Wayfarer that can be borderline, and it's up to the submitter to sell it. And I was in a park probably 6 months ago, and no, it would have been last summer, so longer than 6 months ago. And I was like, all these benches and stuff in this park, none of these people are notable. And they were like, well, how do you know that? And I was like, okay, well, I don't. But the plaque says in memory of Nancy. Like,
right.
I don't know who Nancy is. I've seen plaques. There's a plaque that I nominated on a memorial bench that was like, this person they did this, and they were this director of this hockey organization that helped kids, and it was all on the little plaque. Like that, but like in memory of Nancy, I don't know. Like Nancy could have been the mayor for 74 years. You didn't put it on the plaque.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to know?
Right.
So I think memorial benches especially, it's on the person to sell it, right? And like I can look at it and it could say in memory of Francine, and I am not going to know who Francine is any more than you are if you walk past that thing. And I don't think that these people, when they purchase these, because a lot of these memorial benches are purchased by families because they want to memorialize a member of their family, and that's fine, and that's cool. And there's every new park that they build in Oshawa, they put benches all over, and the benches have the little cutout for the memorial plaque already on it.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So you just
it's
know that there's
anticipating.
It's anticipated. So you know that there's some website somewhere and they were like, memorialize your family on a bench. Right? And it's just like, cool. I get it. But if you don't want to pay for more than 7 words, you get in memory of Nancy. It doesn't fly. Unless you can sell it to me And that's one of those things. Like I might find that bench interesting, but according to Niantic's rules, it's not eligible. And let's face it, most memorial benches are boring ass benches.
So I want to read what Tintino put on memorial benches in May of 2024. Memorial benches can only be eligible under the criteria for exploration if they are dedicated to a notable figure and that notability is described in the nomination. Mass-produced memorial benches dedicated to friends and family are not eligible unless the nominator proves evidence of the individual's importance to the community. Just stating that someone was important to the community is inadequate. Note, the benches that are artistically crafted, like the bench above, and there's a picture there, can be considered eligible as works of art, encouraging exploration, which could be nominated as such. Benches with or without plaques can encourage exploration if they are at an anchor of a significant viewpoint, such, like as a scenic viewpoint. So they can tie it together. So like you said, it comes down to whether or not you've quote unquote sold it. And I know we've talked about that on this podcast numerous times on whether you need to sell it or whether the picture can stand on its own. But I want to get to kind of the crux of my argument for side A of this. The interesting point, right? Some people consider these low quality, whether they are eligible or not. Let's just go out and say, like I have a couple of pictures. Actually, can you bring up the first picture? The one that says in loving memory of Randy Lehman. So Randy Lehman, so first of all, give me your, tell me what you think about this. Just your initial feedback on this.
No. It's generic, and there's nothing on that plaque that tells me that Randy Lehman was at all notable. So this would have to be sold to me.
Okay.
By whoever submitted it, right?
So now pull up the bigger picture. So what you guys are seeing, for those of you guys who are listening, it's the actual, like what Chris said, the 7 words on the plaque. So what you're looking at now on the screen is a bench. It's the wider bench. So give me your initial impressions on this picture, Chris.
Again, I just it's generic and boring to me, and it doesn't look like there's a whole lot written on that. So here's the other thing. If the supporting photo for this shows that this is kind of in a spot that's scenic, then you can kind of sell it that way. You got to pick your lane with these memorial benches and these benches, right? And I don't think that this one, it's tough because I can't see like the whole thing, right? Like there's no title, there's no description, but as a whole, just from the picture, I would say no.
All right, let me read this to you. Randy Lehman, born September 18th, 1953 in Charlotte. He was the son of Eugene and Sarah Lehman. He was a track star at Myers Park High School. In 1972, he won the 440-yard dash as a member of the relay team. That Myers Park relay team, led by Randy Lehman, were never defeated in 4 years. They never lost a meet, including the state meet. Following graduation, Randy went on to receive a track scholarship to Western Carolina University, where he excelled in athletics and got his 4-year degree. He went on to work for American Athletes at South Park for many years, where he was involved in track and field, the Charlotte Marathon Club, and later worked in the textile industry with Stein Fibers. Let's see here. Randy and his family were all about baseball, track, and being active. And then it goes on to talk about how he was the president of the Quail Hollow Presbyterian Church Track Club, and how he sponsored several kids to go on to college through track and field, and that's why they had the bench there. So if something in a concise paragraph was in the description and the supporting information, maybe a link to this article that I'm reading from, what would you say then? Would that change your mind?
Yeah, that amount of information might be able to sway me, right? Because they've taken the effort to sell it, to let me
Right.
know how that person was notable. I'd appreciate that, right?
And the deciding factor there is like literally this dude never lost a track and field match in 4 years of high school. He and his whole team were undefeated. That's pretty notable right there.
Pretty
Especially
notable, yeah.
think about if in Oshawa, someone went to Oshawa High School, whatever it was, and they were undefeated in any sport. They never lost a match or a game. You'd be like, everybody would know that guy, right? Like that would be passed down throughout the annals of history there. Okay, so some people will argue with the statement I'm about to make, but I think I just established that this bench is eligible, despite it looking very generic, despite the plaque looking very generic, which I would agree, it looks very generic. I think, quote unquote, that I've sold it well enough that it is eligible to be included on the map. Now, this is where I've gotten in arguments with people. They would say, hey, Jamal, even though this is eligible, this is a very low quality waste spot, and I would rather something else be on the map. And I would say to this, what if I went to Myers Park High School and I was on the track team and I'm like, hey, guys, there's a bench to Coach Larry? We would all think that's really interesting. You might not. Goes back to my argument, who gets to decide what's interesting? What do you say about that?
Here's what I'm going to say to that. The Wayfarer map doesn't care about Pokemon Go. It's eligible. If it's eligible, it's eligible. If it's low quality, sure, then you know what? Play the game. Nominate something interesting, more interesting in that cell first.
Snake
Snake me. Yeah, 100%. If someone gets to this before you get to something else, or you find something else later, sorry about your luck. Wayfarer don't care about Pogo.
Yes.
Or Monster Hunter now. Or Pikmin Bloom if they'll ever get a map sync. Like they don't care.
It doesn't.
Right? And this is what a lot of people forget. A lot of people are just like, well, that's so low quality. Wayfarer don't give a poop.
Right.
Sorry.
Yes. And I think we venture into dangerous territory when we say that's not interesting. What I want to nominate is interesting. I have a problem with that. I am a big first come, first serve person. If I got to that area first and I nominated the bench and there was a statue right behind it, some people might say, hey, why didn't you nominate the statue behind it? Because I don't want to. I wanted to nominate this. So I would like to put it out to everybody. The phrase low quality waste spot bothers me because if it meets one of the three criteria, exploration, exercise, or being social, if it meets those three criteria, I don't think I personally, blame Jamal, don't think it can be considered a low quality waste spot. A low quality waste spot to me is something that's not eligible, that's on the map. That's what I would consider a low quality waste spot.
There's a difference between low quality and lower quality. Like there are things that are lower quality than other things. It doesn't mean they're not quality, right?
Right.
This is what really gets me. It's like I have done several areas where I have reached out and talked to members of the community and be like, hey, here's my plan. This is what I want to do. If you would like to help, great. If not, please stay out of my way. Right?
Yep.
And people are like, yeah, cool. I'll go nominate this and that, or you can have the whole thing or whatever. And we work together to get the things on the map that we want. It's just kind of the way that the game is designed. I've also had people be like, hey, reach out to me or reach out to the communities and be like, hey, I'm going to nominate this. What do you guys think? And then I've literally watched people say, hey, I don't think that's good enough to be on the map. There's this in that cell. How about you do that first, or I'll do that first, and then we can do that after. And sometimes people are like, well, poop on you. I'm going to go do it anyway. But most of the time, people are like, all right, cool. That's, you know what? That's actually in a better spot. That's in a park. This is on a street. Like, it's just work with the people in your community.
Yes. And we're going to get to that in a second. But I'm going to ask you a question. So when you built your park in Plattsburgh, were people concerned about what you were nominating? Or you can pull that down now. Were people concerned more about what you were nominating, or were they more concerned about where it was going to end up on the map and would it become a gym? Because to me, like my park, I don't think people care what it is. They care where it is and how it affects the game board in general. But I don't think they say, no, bench bad, statue good. They're like, bench is closer to all the other stuff, so bench is good. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, 100%. It was the only comments that I got were, where will the gyms end up? How many gyms are we going to get, and where will they end up? And can you make them close enough to the parking lot of the park where we don't have to get out of our cars on rainy days? And I was like, I can make that happen.
Yes.
I will nominate in a certain order, and they will get approved in an order that makes sense. If you guys leave the park alone, right? Tell all your friends, leave the park alone. I will make the gym placement happen, because you could do it back then, right?
Right. But it was never about what you were actually, it was never about the individual POI. It was about how the POI was going to affect the map.
Yep. And like there was never a conversation of this versus that, or I want this on the map versus that. They were just like, they don't care about what the stops are. They just wanted to know where the gyms were going to go, which is fair, right?
Yeah,
because
it's fair, yeah.
Cold in the winter, people don't necessarily want to walk a lot, and on raid days and stuff, you want them close to the thing. And I was like, yeah, cool. Like, it's,
and that's how
a park is a park.
Right? That's how it was at my park. Hey, Jamal, can you get these gyms so we can sit under the pavilion and we can do 5 raids without having to walk? It was never of, well, why is the swing the gym and not the merry-go-round?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that. So I think my new hill to die on for season 5 is going to be outside of the Wayfarer forum. I don't think people care. I don't think the average Pokemon Go player cares what the POI is, as long as it's a POI. I think that is a staple, specifically maybe Reddit and maybe the forums and a couple of Discords. But I think if you go out on a random Wednesday to any place trainers are congregating and they're doing raids, I don't think they care if it's the church or the church sign. As long as it's more convenient for them, I don't think they care. And some people are going to just get all upset at me and get mad and say, I don't care about this and I don't care about that. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm turning heel. Maybe this is my heel turn. But I don't think people care what the POI is unless you are on the forum. And that's not that is a shot at the forum. Yeah, it is a shot at the forum. But I don't know. So that's the quality matters argument. All right. Let's go to the second part.
I'm going to, while you keep talking, I'm going to put a Twitter poll out, and I'm going to direct it I'm going to get Ken to retweet it. I'm going to direct it at people Pogo players who don't normally participate in Wayfarer, and I'm going to ask them if they care what the POI, what they care about more, what the POI is or where it's placed. And I can guarantee you that this is going to be overwhelmingly one direction.
Yes. All right. So side B of this argument, the local significant matters argument, right? So this is the one that I probably am the champion of. I've said on this podcast many times, I think Wayfarer needs to be local. I understand it's a global game, but I think local rules matter more than global rules. And that's kind of where I came up with the thumbnail. Like, to someone who's in Santa Fe, New Mexico, if I get a memorial bench approved in Charlotte, North Carolina, show me on the doll where that hurts you, right? Show me on the doll where this POI is hurting you in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's not. So here are the bullet points for this argument, Chris. What's boring to a visitor may be meaningful to a community. A memorial honoring a beloved teacher, coach, firefighter, volunteer, or civic leader may absolutely encourage exploration in your local area. And I've got a specific example of that I shared in our Discord, where my daughter takes golf lessons. It's the Charlie Sifford Golf Course. He was the first African American person ever to be inducted into the PGA or the Golf Hall of Fame. I don't know if it's the PGA Hall of Fame or the Golf Hall of Fame, whatever. He was the first one. So he has a golf course named after him, but they just recently erected a statue on the outskirts of uptown Charlotte of him like taking a swing. And remember I put that picture in the Discord a while back, and it turns out it's in a cell. But that actually got me to go there. A statue of a local figure got me to go see it, to see what cell it was in. Local communities are often the best source of information about local significance. Exploration doesn't have to mean tourist attraction. Not every waste spot needs to be exciting to everyone. And a recent quote was, I don't get excited about seeing memorial benches when traveling. And my answer to that is, what if that bench isn't for you? I'm not arguing that all, right? Yeah. I'm not arguing that all memorial benches are interesting. I'm arguing that some people are important enough to their local communities, and they should be able to explain why they're worth remembering. And that doesn't have to be for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of things. It's not for everyone. Like playing pogo is not for everyone. Wayfarer is not for everyone. Just because you don't find it interesting doesn't mean that it doesn't meet the criteria. Like I disagree with a heck of a lot of things. There are some things that I vehemently disagree with that have made their way into Wayfarer. And I have said time and time again, I am willing to put that aside because it's not my map.
Right.
I follow
you have said that so many times.
Wayfarer because I am curating their map.
Right.
Their map that is utilized by Pokemon Go and Monster Hunter Now and Pikmin Bloom. It's not the other way around, right? One of them serves the other, not the other. And it's just, I disagree with this thing that I get in my reviews. Okay, I don't like it. I don't think it should be on the map. If it was my map, it wouldn't be on the map. But Niantic says that it should be, so I'm gonna vote to approve it. I'm gonna throw up and I'm gonna keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right. So I had another picture. We don't need to bring it up. It was the same thing. It's on the same trail. And it was in loving memory of Jody Sawyer. Right. And so it was the same thing. It was that's all it said is in loving memory of Jody Sawyer. And there was the bench. So if you guys saw the first one, you saw the second one. But what you don't know about Jody Sawyer was she was a human resources executive in Charlotte, North Carolina, originally from Pennsylvania. She worked for Chase, Nations Bank, Charter Bank, which is now Fifth Third. Everybody in Charlotte works for a bank or an insurance company. That's neither here nor there. But what you don't know about her was she was a champion for civil rights, and she was a wife, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and she fought to make sure that people from underprivileged backgrounds got a fair shot with HR in the bank and helped change a lot of things for people who were trying to, get employed and stay employed, and was just kind of a really, really good citizen. So, now, Chris, if you saw just that, let's just say it's that first bench, but then you saw that in the description, and then you saw a link to all the awards that she won from the city of Charlotte, and then you learned that she passed away from brain cancer, which even on her deathbed, she was still giving speeches to schools and telling people how to write a resume, blah, 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 blah. Would you say that that bench could be eligible with the way that was sold?
Yeah, 100%. Right?
Right.
Because that person gave back to their community. They were impacting the lives of multiple people and probably made them better, probably helped them get jobs or help them become better people. And that's the little definition of notable. So that's a slam dunk for me.
Now, if you just see so this is why I remember in the beginning when you first got on the podcast, I was like, you shouldn't have to sell your nomination. If the picture is good enough, that's good enough. You've brought me around to the other side to say, yeah, this looks like something that shouldn't be on the map, but if you tell me a story on why, then I'm like, oh, more people should come here and read this description to learn about her. Maybe they'll get inspired to go out and do something good. So I've come around to your side. So people who say I can't change, they're wrong. I've come to your side. So to me, it's not about being flashy and being, not every city has the Sears Tower or the Empire State Building or the Cleopatra's obelisk in their town, right? Oshawa doesn't have any of those things, right? Charlotte doesn't have any of those things. You kind of have what you have. And if someone comes to Oshawa and they're like, oh, there's just a bunch of memorial benches, you might say, hey, buddy, read up on your Canadian history. This person did X, Y, or Z, like the thing you were talking about at your rink about that. And it's just kind of like, this is what we got. These are our important people. I'm sorry it's not flashy and exciting and it's not sexy like this. But when you come here, this is what we do. So that's why when it comes to side B of this argument, I really believe local significance matters because NASCAR, you see a lot of NASCAR POIs in Charlotte because this is NASCAR country. So if you come from the North or the West or the Midwest and you're not a NASCAR person, you see a checkerboard crossing from one side of the street to the other and you say that's not eligible. But I'm going to tell you yes, because if you follow that crossing, it takes you to the start-finish line of Charlotte Motor Speedway. And everybody knows that's Victory Road, Thunder Road and Victory Lane. And it's something that if that was in Oshawa, people would say, no, this is not eligible, but the local context makes it eligible. So that's where and it might be a stretch, but that's where I am a big fan of memorial benches because there's a story behind them. Now, there might be some where it's like, in memory of Bob, and it was just a dude. I'm just a dude. You're just a dude. Maybe Bob was just a dude, and he didn't do anything really cool. And okay, that doesn't have a good enough story. But I don't think you can just take memorial benches as a whole and throw them out and say they're not interesting. When Tintino himself said, if you tell a good enough story or they're artistic enough, they will be eligible. And then that's that second level of people saying, well, it's eligible, but I don't like it. And I'm like, I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess what? Wayfarer doesn't care either. You know who else doesn't? Niantic doesn't care. They don't care. Right? And to me, a lot of this stuff is, if it's not like obviously notable, if like the person isn't obviously notable, you have to sell it to me. And like, you got to give me proof. You can't just spout a whole bunch of stuff and be like, Nancy was the premier of the local horticultural society that planted flowers in 17 districts and now that they're the reason that we have trees. And there's no like anybody could just make that stuff up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, you gotta give me proof. You gotta give me some meat on that bone, something that I can chew on. And it's like, if you sell it to me, I will buy it, because people who are doing reviews want to be able to buy things, right? They want to be able to buy your nomination. And especially now that we've kicked the Ingress people out and like rip Recon 2. I just feel so bad for those folks now at this point. Like, it's easier to get stuff approved now. So just do the work.
So I have another question for you. I have another question for you. And this is going to lead into topic number 2. How different would Wayfarer be if more just random pogo players voted?
I think we would see a lot more very questionable things on the map, because I think there's enough people who care about their criteria still in most areas. Like in my area for sure, because like I still get stuff rejected It's like the people in my area, I'm going to rant for a second. The people who vote in my area are like stuck in 2021.
Okay.
Because like there's like that line where Niantic started to clarify a bunch of things in like the early 2020s, which is wild to be able to say that. And like, they're stuck. They're stuck there. Like I had a pool in a townhouse complex, and it's not even like a gated townhouse complex. The path to the pool is literally comes off the sidewalk beside the street. Like you can see the pool from the sidewalk. There's a giant gap in between the two townhouses. It's clearly you can access it from, like I could literally walk out with my bathing suit and jump in the pool. I guarantee nobody would say anything. Right? Got rejected for private property. But that's a clarification that Niantic made like 5 years ago.
Right.
But it happens here all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Getting anything approved in a townhouse complex here is like pulling teeth. So it's like I think that if we had more Pogo players, a lot of that stuff would get overridden because let's face it, you know, we bash on Ingress players a lot, but they were like steadfast. These are the rules.
Yeah.
We follow the rules. This is the thing, you know, this is the way. Whereas Pogo players were like, yeah, but 17 benches on this path would make a bunch of gyms and we'd be really cool and I want that. So
yeah. Yeah, no,
Right.
it's a push and pull. You know, and I really hate to use this analogy because it could go off the rails, but you got to have cops because you have robbers.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've all said people are going to people. And there's a reason why you should not have to lock your door. You should be able to leave your key in your car, but you can't because people will steal. So you have to have security cameras. And again, I don't want to get to 1984. And anyhow, Wayfarer is no different than all over society. People can't be trusted to do the right thing because people are not going to do the right thing. So you have to have people who are looking out for the overall good of the game, society, world to make sure that rules are followed. So it's kind of the same thing. So you're right. But now we're going to let's go ahead and go to topic number 2 because this leads right into this. It's almost like we planned this. So let's go to topic number 2. Okay, so topic number 2, Chris. I was going to get to this a couple of weeks ago, but we got going long and we had a good discussion on our last couple of shows. So I punted this for a couple of weeks, but I think this fits perfectly. So topic number 2 is called When a Community Goes Rogue. And a lot of this is fingers pointed back at me, right? Fingers pointed at Charlotte, right? And I get it. You know me, I'm not going to run from it. Even if I'm quote unquote in the wrong, I'm not going to run from it. A lot of people have said Charlotte is a rogue city. Charlotte is a need more stops place. And things get approved in Charlotte that shouldn't be approved and wouldn't be approved anywhere else. It's not for me to decide. Can't vote on everything. But here's the question. What happens when an entire local reviewing culture develops its own standards instead of following global criteria? Not necessarily malicious and not necessarily a voting ring. So here it is. Here's my bullet points, Chris. Local norms evolve. Reviewers influence each other. Discord and Facebook groups develop opinions on what's eligible and what's not. Communities get known for certain voting habits. So let's take that and stop there. And I'll start because I've told you a couple of times when we recorded on Wednesdays, I'm like, dude, I was at the park and they were talking about this and I'm like, stop, don't say another word. I don't want to hear it. I'm like, stop. That's not eligible. Yep. I'm telling you not to do that. And I've told you this before we even brought this topic up, but I'm like, they're going to nominate this and it's going to get approved. I've seen some things recently that I'm like, I've seen that 10, 15 times. And I was like, nah. And you laughed because you were like, you would nominate that. I'm like, nope, I would not nominate that. And it's on the board.
Right.
So what do you think about local norms evolving, reviewers influencing each other, Facebook and Discord groups developing opinions, and communities that get known for certain voting habits.
Okay. I'm gonna ask Niantic to step away for a second because they're not gonna want to listen to this, and I'm not gonna reveal. I'm not gonna reveal what city it is that I lived in where this is happening, because I've lived in several and I've talked about all of them on the show. So I'm not gonna rat out who these people are, but there are Discords where people in the community will post pictures of their nominations. Say, hey guys, I just nominated this. Keep an eye out for it. And then they'll update. Be like, oh, it's in voting. And then people will legitimately go, okay, cool. I'll log into the Wayfarer for the first time in 7.5 months and do reviews until I get it. Is that a voting ring? Maybe.
I mean,
But
by the letter of the law, yeah,
Probably.
you could say that's a voting ring.
to me, like, that's very questionable, and I would be like, I would just mute that channel and just not pay attention to it and be like, oh, I never saw that. And people would tag me and be like, I don't want to be involved. If I get it and it's eligible, I will vote for it. If I don't think it's eligible, I'm not gonna vote for it. Sorry, right? And like, I've gone back to towns that I've lived in before and had things removed, and I've watched them talk about it in the chat. Be like, oh, this gym is gone. I don't know what happened to it. And I'll be like, don't know what happened there.
It shouldn't have been there in the first place.
I know some of those people listen to this show, so I'm gonna get a message as soon as this show drops. Be like, it was you, wasn't it? But like, to me, that's not necessarily as bad as one person with 17 accounts voting on all his own stuff or voting on all their own stuff, right? Like, it happens. People are just like, hey, I nominated this. And I will say, for the most part, the discourse that I have been in and watched this behavior, they're not out there maliciously being like, hey, I nominated this flower plant in my front yard. It's eligible stuff.
Right.
So
yeah. I mean, like I said, it happens at Raid Hour. Hey guys, they just built the new apartment complex down the road. I'm going to nominate the fountain. And everybody's like, oh yeah, I'll log on. Technically, that could be considered a voting ring. But personally, and maybe this is me being holier than thou or sanctimonious, that's my big word for the episode, but I'd see a voting ring as a dude with like 6 or 7 phones. I said it. Logging in and logging out and voting, and they're using other accounts, but it's hard to tell someone who's excited about Wayfarer, who found something eligible in their neighborhood, and they come to Raid Hour and they're like, I just nominated the new little free library or whatever. And it kind of makes the hairs on my neck stand up, and they all know I don't participate in those conversations. And they're like, nope, don't tell Jamal. Keep Jamal out of it. They're like, he's trying to establish a relationship with Niantic. Don't get him in trouble. They're like, he'll talk about it on his podcast, but he won't use his name. So I'll see people whispering, and I just kind of okay, let me be ignorant to it. But I have seen that on Discord. There was a couple of Discords that I was in that had a Wayfarer channel of it with things that were in voting, and people would post their pictures, and I'm like, I've just got to leave this Discord. Like, I don't want to post something in a Discord like that and someone to screenshot it and take it out of context, and then Niantic's like, what the hell? You know what I mean? So I just kind of leave those alone, and I just don't do it because it's not worth it.
Yeah, when I did that park in Plattsburgh, like, people would ask me like, oh, do you want me to create a Wayfarer account and then go vote? And I'm like, no.
Right.
It's don't go out if you want to, sure, but like, I'm not gonna go out and tell people to go vote. And then like the vast majority of them were like, okay, cool, because I didn't want to. I would have to help you out, but I really don't want to. And I'm like, that's fine. It'll get in, it'll not. Right, it'll follow the process.
And part of my problem is I have a style when I write nominations. People call it Jamaling it up. So if you're reviewing in my area, right? If you're reviewing in my area and you see one of my nominations, you can probably say, I'm 90% sure this is Jamal. Although I've showed you a couple that look like my nominations, but they weren't. I'm like, that's not me. I didn't do that. So, and I would hope that people wouldn't think that I'm influencing people. If people kind of know my style and they know what I like to nominate, I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do to change that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're going to know if you participate in Wayfarer long enough. The community's not that big.
Right.
People are going to get to know each other, and
Yes.
they're gonna recognize styles. Like, there are people in my area who know my nominations by the pictures that I take, right?
Yes.
And like, I've sent nominations to you, be like, hey, is
Yeah.
this yours? But I always finish the review first, and then I
Right.
send it to you and be like,
Yes.
is this
Yeah.
yours? You'd be like, no or yes, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
I'm not going to tell you how I voted on it, but
Right.
it's interesting
Exactly.
to know that's yours. And people do the same thing with me. They'll send it to me and be like, hey, is this one of yours? I'm like, absolutely, yeah. And I don't
Right.
ask. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, and like, I don't want to know how you voted.
Exactly.
And I don't want you to send me and ask me these questions until after you voted. So vote,
Exactly.
take a screenshot,
Yep.
vote, and then
Yep.
send it to me because I don't want to influence your decision. And they're like, well, I can pretty much tell by the way that you take pictures because you take pictures in a very unique way compared to the other people who are in the area. And I'm like, that's just how I naturally do it. I'm not doing it on
Yes.
purpose, right? I've hung out with Sarah Amanda enough to know how to take a good picture of Wayfarer now, right?
Oh, ooh, that that
So,
that 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 felt targeted on that a little bit.
what?
All right. So, all right, over time, some areas become super strict or super loose. They can become hyper localized, anti business, pro trail, pro or anti neighborhood sign, and mural friendly. Um, does having a rogue community hurt anyone? Yes, sometimes, maybe. Um, I think Charlotte, for example, Chris, is super loose. Charlotte is a needs
Mm,
more stop city. You've seen it. You've reviewed here.
mhm.
Um, it's pro trail, it's pro neighborhood sign, it's pro mural, it's hyper localized. Um, Charlotte has tons of independent record stores and brew pubs and restaurants, and they're all in. Like restaurant, yeah, it's in. Someone's like, "Oh yeah, Joe's Bar and Grill. Yeah, there's only one of those. It's in, you know, or Spin It Again Records, or you know, the ice cream shop. You know, those get in. So if you have something that gets rejected in Charlotte, you did a bad job. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
or or it was just super spaghetti. It was super spaghetti, and even Charlotte's like, nah, dog, like nah, you know. So, and
Grossly
remember,
ineligible, yeah.
I showed you. Remember the day I did those 21 nominations, and like I got 20 out of 21, and the one that I
Yep.
didn't get, I pulled it out because I'm like, I don't want that tied to me. I want that tied to my account. So I pulled it out. And I just did
Yep.
27 more nominations. So, and they're slowly coming in. And there's a few on here that they got approved. And I know for a fact that they would not have gotten approved anywhere else in the world. And I'm just being honest with you. I'm going to pull it up on my screen, Chris. Um, Pull it up on my screen. I got to find it. All right, Chris, I'm going to pull up my screen and I'm going to show you this. So you guys are going to see my screen here in a second. And I'm going to pull this up. And I don't normally share things, but these have been approved. So looking at this, Chris, you know how I have a love of neighborhood signs. What's your
Mhm.
initial impression of this one here?
I don't hate that one. I mean, it's a
Okay.
unique enough design. It's got flowers. It's got a little bit of a brick base there. That
Mm-hmm.
one looks neat to me, right? Like, I don't I compared to some of the ones that I've seen, I'm okay with that one. And you know what? Honestly, like, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like, that's better than 90% of the welcome to my town signs that are
Yep.
eligible. So,
So here's the next one. So this one was also accepted. This one was derpy as heck. I'm just gonna be honest. This one is derpy as heck, but it got approved.
Yeah, I mean, just
So
because that there's no grass there doesn't make it any less eligible.
right? So this is a new neighborhood they're building, and it's the backside of the neighborhood, and they haven't fully finished the landscaping, but the neighborhood sign is in. So you can see at the bottom right, there's going to be a light there. There's probably going to be some flowers and stuff. But I was like, I got 6,000 nominations. Why not throw this one in? So here's the other one. So some people would
Before
not.
you move on,
Yeah.
you know that when people watch the YouTube, they're gonna spam you and demand that you go and fix that picture once that gets finished, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes,
All right,
they
cool.
are. Yes. Oh, I know.
Just
I know.
so you're aware. Just so you're aware.
Um,
I wanted to
so
do it before they got to it.
yes. So now this one here is another one in this same neighborhood. And there are some people who would have a problem with me nominating all three entrances to the neighborhood. But as you see on the screen, they are all three very distinct signs. Not any of them, they're not like cookie cutter. They're all the same, just at three different places of the neighborhood. They're all distinct on where they are in the neighborhood. So, that is what's going on. And they just triggered a gym in this neighborhood. So you can see from the pictures, this is a very new neighborhood. But it just triggered a gym in the neighborhood. So, when you pull it up here, you can see that they are still doing construction, and this is what it looks like on the overhead map. So this is what it looked like on the last picture, and that's what it looks like now. So it's a brand new neighborhood. This is what I love. I love to have something like this where I can just go in and I can pick where the gyms are going to be, Okay, so that is what I wanted to show you. So Charlotte is a super loose reviewing place. I don't have a problem with it. But do you think having a rogue community, do you think that hurts people?
It depends on how rogue they go, right? Like if you've got a bunch of gray area stuff that's kind of in the middle that people will look at it and go, I wouldn't have, but I don't feel one way or another about that. Not really. But like if you've got people, because people went rogue in my area for a while. Like some of the English people went rogue because like there was one downtown Oshawa that the title was Flock of Seagulls, and the picture was literally a flock of seagulls standing in the middle of the road. The pin was placed in the middle of the road.
I remember you sharing that one.
Like every single memorial bench constructed before 2020 is on the Wayspot map, right? And I will say that my area is a lot tighter about that now, about memorial benches. But like there was a time when like you would throw it against the wall and it would stick. Right?
Speaking of that,
hurts,
speaking
right?
of that, and it hurt. Will you go over what inconsistent reviewing could cause? You want to go over those bullet points real quick?
Where are we? Sure. Inconsistent reviewing can frustrate submitters. So if you're submitting 3 or 4 of the same thing and 2 of them get rejected and 2 of them get approved, like the people like that are far less likely to continue. And seasoned Wayfarers just get frustrated having to burn appeals and having to wait, especially if you're counting on nominations to get onto maps to build out certain areas in a way that you want to build it out, like we talked about earlier. Creating uneven maps, you could have inconsistent reviewers. So you have people in one side of town review a certain way, people on the other side of town review a different way, and you can have way more stuff on one side of the map versus the other. And it just creates inconsistencies, and people look at that and go, well, they got approved over there, and the forum says it's eligible, but why is it not eligible over here? It's frustrating, right? That's the general consensus of all of these is it's frustrating, right? And another point, discourages good nominations. And if you've got someone who constantly gets all of their stuff rejected, that's borderline or even like really eligible, they're less likely to nominate new things otherwise. Because like, well, it's just going to reject it. Why would I bother, right? I'm just going to go and do a different area, get different reviewers.
Yep.
And you can create POI inflation in some areas. Like there are some towns like Charlotte where you just have a spot in every single cell, and people go there and they think it's great. Or if they go to a different town, you can say, well, how come they get this and we don't? And it just creates more frustration in the system.
Why does Japan get all this, and why does Japan get all that? How many
Yep.
times did we hear that on the forum?
God, yeah, all the time, right? And it's metropolitan cities have, like New York and Chicago, they have it made because they have just inherently because of the way that the system works.
Right.
But if you had people in New York who were fast and loose with the rules, you would have a bunch of stuff in the boroughs that doesn't belong there, right? And it's just frustrating for people who are in smaller cities who can't get that stuff approved.
Yep. All right, so let's talk about the other side of that coin. Hyper strict communities can also hurt the game, I think. A community that rejects everything can contribute to slow map growth. It discourages creativity. So what I mean by slow map growth is kind of the opposite of what you said. If you have an area where it's kind of anti-need more stops and you have people who are kind of power users who are removing things, people can get frustrated that there's nothing on their map and nothing can get through when they believe it's eligible. I think that can kill local exploration because if you see the people on the forum, everything gets denied. I'm just going to stop. And it's like, you might be the only person in that part of your village, town, city, whatever it is, who's playing the game. And if you stop because you got discouraged, then the map can become stagnant. It can make other submitters stop trying because they're like, I'm never going to submit anything else in the Netherlands because even if it gets on the map, it's going to get, removed by Niantic because of X, Y, or Z. That's equally as unhealthy as the other way. But what's worse, Chris? A city that accepts too much or a city that rejects too much? What do you think is worse?
Ooh.
This is the tough
honestly, question. I would say a city that rejects too much because you have the potential to drive away Wayfarers. A city that accepts too much, you can kind of deal with, provided they don't go too rogue. It kind of, if you have especially someone who's new, and if they get some of their stuff approved, that's kind of encouraging. Whereas if you had two or three things that got rejected, you're done. Like, people will quit.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Speaking of quitting, we're going to let's play the sounder for One's Gotta Go.
One's gotta go. One gotta go.
One gotta go, y'all.
One gotta go.
Wait,
one gotta go.
Yeah, this one gotta go.
One's gotta go. One's gotta go. One's gotta go. One gotta go. 4 items to be on the list, but one gotta go.
All right. So to tie this all in, speaking of quitting, we are going to bring up, Chris, can you bring up this graphic? So the title of this is Your Childhood Ends Today. So for some people, this is going to be very traumatic, and this ended a lot of people's athletic careers. They just quit, just to bring it up. They got rejected too many times. So, number 1 is kickball. Number 2 is dodgeball. Number 3 is Foursquare, and number 4 is tag. So these are outdoor childhood games that cause people to kind of quit being athletic because they were traumatized by these activities. I want to know for you, Chris, which one of these 4 has to go for you?
Okay. First of all, we're gonna come out of the gate hot. It's not kickball, it's soccer baseball.
Oh,
that's what we call
Canadian
it up here, soccer
thing.
Baseball. It is a Canadian thing, yes.
Soccer baseball, okay.
Was amazing at what you call kickball, what civilized people called soccer baseball. So that's got to stay.
I love it. Right.
Tag is something that you can play without equipment. You don't need a ball,
Yes.
right? You just go and play tag. Love playing tag. I play tag with my kids sometimes. They usually win because I'm 47 and grossly out of shape, but that's besides the point. Dodgeball is just fun and is probably one of the greatest movies I've seen. Such a great movie. So for me, by default, it's Foursquare because I think Foursquare is kind of boring.
Okay. I like it. All right. So for me, my number one is dodgeball. Although growing up in Portland, we called it bench ball because when you got hit, you got to go to the bench. It wasn't until later on in life that I'm like, dodgeball. You mean bench ball? So yeah, we called it dodgeball. I was really athletic when I was in my teens and early 20s. So coming up through grade school and middle school and even into high school, I was very athletic. I was kind of strong for my age. And I was kind of seen as one of those bullies who would go headhunting and like, the nerdy kid or the girl, you just kind of picked them off first. It's so bad to think back to it. So there's a lot of people I went to school with that would say dodgeball would be the one that has to go because they were traumatized. I remember hitting a kid right in the chest and he thought he was going to catch it and it hit him in the chest and it bounced all the way back over the line. And at our 10-year reunion, someone brought that up. Remember when you got blown up? And I'm like, oh man, that's so bad. So kickball, your soccer baseball, I write with my left hand, but I kick with my left foot. So it threw people off. I was like, so I kick so I'm left footed. So I would always get on base because people would assume I was going to kick it one way and it would go the other way. And then they would forget by the time I came back up that I was going to hook it a different way, kind of like when a lefty comes to the plate, you got to shift your defense over in baseball. So that's got to stay for me. Foursquare was one of those games that you kind of like, God, I hate to say this again, kind of the lesser athletic kids played, right? They kind of played Foursquare. You had to kind of have good hand-eye coordination, but it didn't take a lot of physical, you didn't have to be bulky or lanky or anything like that. For me, the one's got to go is tag. I've never been a runner. I'm like, and you would always get that little short, squirrely kid who was really fast and could cut really good. And I'm like, dude, just tag me. I'm it. I was not a runner. I was a bigger dude growing up. So for me, there's just too much running in tag. And I was good at hide and go seek. Like in a short burst, I could run to home base. But tag, you're just constantly running. And it just seems like tag is a game that was made up by that evil gym teacher that was secretly trying to get you to do push-ups and run the whole time. I kind of feel that tag was made up by that person. So that's the one for me that's got to go.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. We used to play a game. It's funny you mentioned hide and go seek. We used to play a game up my cottage at night in the dark called Manhunt, which is essentially hide and go seek with like slightly variation rules. But we would do it at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, like in the woods. And you could tell the kids that were afraid of the dark because they wouldn't go far. Whereas like some of us were like deep in the woods. To the point where our parents are like, you're going to get eaten by a bear. Stop.
That's great. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a break, play some dad jokes, and we'll come back on the other side with Wayspots of the Week and Coal of the Week.
This is Darker Solstice, and you're listening to the Wayspotters podcast.
What's up, fellow Wayspotters? This is Coach Kev here, and you're listening to the Wayspotters podcast. And you better share this with a friend, otherwise you're going to be sleeping at the bottom of Lake of the Moon with Geodude tied to your ankles.
Season 5 of Dad Jokes. You guys keep encouraging him. This is why we can't have nice things.
Why don't mountains ever get cold? Because they wear snow caps. I started a business selling yachts in my attic. Sales are going through the roof. I told my doctor that I was losing my memory. He said, how How long has that been going on? I said, what? How long has what been going on? What do you call a rejected Pokestop at a baseball field? A foul nomination. Why did the memorial bench get accepted? Because it had a lot of support. So, about 6 months ago, I joined a gym, and I still haven't lost a single pound. Turns out you have to go into the gym. Yeah, okay. Yeah. What do you call a Pokemon trainer that only catches Geodudes? A rock collector. Get it? Geodude, rock collector. Get it? All right, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 230 of the Wayspotters podcast. You've got Jamal, you've got Chris. And Chris, let's go ahead and jump right into Wayspot of the Week, number 1.
Here is a beautiful example of a Wayspot of the Week, which may or may not be a 2-story mural.
Okay, so Wayspot of the Week, number 1. I think this one was posted in our Discord, and it came from Twitter. I don't remember who this came from, but we're just going to give Twitter... it came from our Patreon exclusive Discord, so all of the Wayspots of the Week and Coal of the Week that we share come from our Patreon exclusive Discord, and more about Patreon and patronage a little bit later on in the show. But this one is a memorial bench. Who would have ever thought the Wayspot of the Week was going to be a memorial bench, Chris? This is a memorial bench, and it's located in Central Park. And I don't have the description and supplemental information, but I have what came from Twitter. This actually might be Telegram. I don't know. Veronica Taylor, the original English voice actor for Ash Ketchum, has unveiled a bench in Central Park's Upper West Side. This bench is to honor Rachel Lillis, voice actor for Misty, Jessie, and other Pokemon characters. It's number 7603 on the path between 106 and 108th. Let me start over. It's number 7603 on the path between 106th Street and 108th Street off Central Park West. And then there's a link to it. So yeah, it is from Twitter. So this one was posted last year 2 years ago, before Randall's Island Go Fest. And it was asking someone to go and nominate this and make it a Pokestop, a POI, before Go Fest for Randall's Island. And things were so crazy. I never actually made it over to this part of Central Park to see if it was in there. But if you just look at the plaque, it says in honor of Rachel Lewis, who was a voice actor for Pokemon. And it says a couple other things. But you were like, okay, that's not eligible. But then if you know the whole backstory behind it, suddenly it becomes eligible. So I think that's worthy of Wayspot of the Week. What do you think?
I completely agreed. And it's called the Rachel Lillis Bench. The description is a bench in Central Park dedicated to Rachel Lillis, the voice of Misty/Jessie in the Pokemon animated series. I found it on the map while you were talking.
Awesome. I knew you would.
Yep.
I knew you would. So that's something that I think belongs in the game. But if you look at the picture, it's just it's a random bench, right? It's just a green park bench. There's nothing significant about it. There's no Pokemon Go art on it, and it's just got that plaque on it. But the description, I believe, makes it eligible, and thus Wayspot of the Week.
Yep. The inscription on the plaque actually says, in honor of Rachel Lillis, whose iconic voice filled Saturday mornings inspiring generations to come. So
nice.
It's a bit of a generic plaque, but that whole description kind of sells it, and that's exactly what you need to do.
Yes. So let's go to Wayspot of the Week, number 2.
This is Sarah Amanda, and here's some Wayspotters approved points of interest.
Wayspot of the Week number 2 comes to us from, I think this was mine. Was this mine? I think I found this one.
Yes,
it's
it
called
is yours.
Lines of Nature. Oh, this is from Charlotte. Yeah. It's called Lines of Nature. Art on bench was created by artist Robert Wicklin, commissioned by the City of Hickory's Public Art Commission. And this is a bench that has it's basically line art, and it looks like it's white and black, and looks like a metal bench, and it's got like a bunch of different characters on it and trees, but they're all like done with single lines. So the lines are really, really close together and drawn in such a way that it forms shapes.
Yep.
And this is super, super decorative and super artistic, and it's fantastic. And in the description, it credits the artist, and it tells you why this exists. So not only was it commissioned by the city, it was done by an artist. And so stuff like this is a great place to explore, and that is eligible. I think it's great. It's fantastic. Great looking bench.
No more to say about that. It's awesome. I actually, I would be able to find that. So that's in Hickory, and I think that's right. It's on Government Ave, so I'm assuming it's on the street that the courthouse is on. But that's definitely a way to get a generic bench in the game and have an artist have something really cool. So let's go to something, Chris, that is not very cool. Let's go to Coal of the Week.
I've been working on the Wayfarer all the live long day. I've been working on the Wayfarer just to pass the... Uh-oh. Oh, no. Hey, Jamal, I found some coal.
All right. So, this Coal of the Week, I'm going to read the title and description. Athena Lending Library. Lending Library at ATMS. So, it's a little free library. It's made out of wood. It's the traditional house shape where you open it up from left to right, and it's got a Spartan on the front of it. So think of like the Michigan State Spartan head. It's got it on there. So you're probably thinking, Jamal, what makes this Coal of the Week? So Chris, if you look at the picture, the map, what's one thing you noticed?
That looks like it's on a school grounds.
So I circled where it is. It is on Athena Middle and High School Street. So there's a street called Athena Middle High School Street. And then if you look at where I circled on there, it's on the grounds of the high school. Mm-hmm. So you might notice a theme of my Coals of the Week. They've all been K-12 because I really want this to be educational. If you see a bunch of sports fields and buildings and there's no POIs there, your thought shouldn't be, oh, let me nominate something there. Your thought should be, let me look. And if you can see on the nomination map that it says high school, stay away. This is Coal of the Week.
Yep, 100%. 100%.
So make sure you use these Coals of the Week as educational. Stay away from K-12. Stay away from fire stations. It's just not worth it. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You got anything else, my friend?
I do not.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign us off. So that's going to do it for this episode of Wayspotters. Now, you know I can't end an episode without giving love to people who help make this show possible. So first up is our incredible executive producer, Kate the Cons. You rock. Thank you to you and all of our amazing patrons. We love you. And of course, we could not do this without you. And a special shout out to my guy, Matty G, show historian, for keeping the record straight since day one. Rumor has it, Matty G may be in Charlotte for Global Go Fest. So, and Justin, host of Special Conditions, will be in Charlotte for Global Go Fest. So there might be some pictures and some eating of banana pudding and stuff on either the Saturday or Sunday. Stick to the socials and you'll find out. We would also like to thank our gym leaders, Matty G, Boris James, Espion Willow, KJ the Man, Herbert, Brandy, and Fisher JZE. We want to give another shout out to our executive producers on the Pokemon Professor Network. For Good Morning Johto, we have Monkey Bread. For Lured Up, we have Xander. Special Conditions, we have Tish Smith. And of course, our favorite executive producer, Kate the Cons. And we want to give another shout out to a member of our Elite Four patrons, Ozark Renee. Missed you at GoFest. We're going to see you next year. And if you like what you heard today, there's a couple of ways that you can stay connected with us. Number one, we're on social. You can reach us on Twitter at Wayspotters. We are also on Instagram at Wayspotters Podcast. We are on TikTok at I Make Wayspots. We love interacting with you, so don't be shy. Come say hi. Number two, check out our website, www.wayspotters.com. From there, you can download episodes, you can send us a message, or you can even shoot us an email, wayspotters@pokemonprofessor.com. Number 3, we've got a hotline. That's right. You can call us, 704-426-3710. Leave us a voicemail and you might just hear yourself on a future episode of the show. Or if you're feeling really brave, you can tweet us a message directly from Twitter. Now, some of you may be watching this on YouTube, and for those of you who are not, please visit our page, www.youtube.com/@WayspottersPodcast. And Chris, while the good people are there, what should they do?
Click like on this video, click subscribe, and also click the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video.
Number 4, if you want to support the show, the best way to do it is by joining the Pokemon Professor Network Patreon. For as little as $1 US a month, you can unlock access to our Discord, where you can hang out with all the fans and all the creators from all the shows across the Pokemon Professor Network, including Special Conditions, Gotta Watch 'Em All, Purified Podcast, Good Morning Johto, Sleep It Off, After Darkrai, Lured Up, and of course your favorite, Wayspotters. It's a fantastic community and we'd love to have you there. The best part about that is being able to come to the Monday night Zoom calls where all the creators are there and everybody who loves the shows are there, and you can talk one-on-one with all the people that you listen to on your podcast app or your radios. And finally, the simplest way to help us grow is to give us a rating on the app you're listening to right now or watching right now. 5 stars really helps the show, and if your podcatcher allows you to leave a review, please do it. One of us will read it right here on the show. And that's all we've got for this week. Thank you so much for listening and watching and being the best part of the Wayspotters family. We'll be back next week with more stories, more nominations, and more fun. And remember, what's a few meters between friends?